Revelation 13:11 through 18 says, I saw another beast rising out of the earth. It had 2 horns like a lamb, and it spoke like a dragon. It exercises all authority of the first beast. In its presence it makes the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast, whose mortal wound was healed. It performs great signs, even making fire come down from heaven to earth in front of people. And by the signs that it is allowed to work in the presence of the beast, it deceives those who dwell on the earth, telling them to make an image for the beast that was wounded by the sword and yet lived. And it was allowed to give breath to the image of the beast, so that the image of the beast might even speak and might cause those who would not worship the image of the beast to be slain. Revelation 16:13 says, I saw coming out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet, 3 unclean spirits like frogs. 1 John 4:1, Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God, for many false prophets have gone out into the world. 2 Thessalonians 2, The coming of the lawless one is according to the working of Satan, with all power, signs, and lying wonders, and with all unrighteous deception among those who perish, because they did not receive the love of the truth, that they might be saved. Brothers and sisters, I think many of you are well aware of Pope Francis's dealings with the New World Order, and that he makes the perfect candidate if the rapture were to happen today, or even the first couple months. He makes the perfect candidate for the false prophet. Listen here, as expert in world government and world religion, Gary Kah comments.
Background coming out of the Jesuit order, which its history has been one that is more toward globalization and pushing that agenda, and I think a lot of people have missed that about him, but he is the first, at least what we know of, the first overtly Jesuit pope. That has been a concern to conservatives, both Protestants, but also conservative Catholics, who've been keeping a close eye on him, because this pope, for whatever reason, is really supportive of the New World Order on every level. He's addressed all of them: government, economics, the environment, education, religion, etc. You just can't get away from it. His own words condemn him on that issue. He's made very clear where he stands on this through his many public statements. During the last 14, 15 months, though, he's intensified his efforts even more. Something I wanted to point out was that a little bit over a year ago, February 2019, Pope Francis met with the world's best-known Muslim cleric,
That's right,
Grand Imam Ahmed Al-Taib of Egypt, and together they proposed the United Nations World Day of Fraternity. This is the latest catchword, fraternity. They proposed this to the UN Secretary General. The Pope and the Imam also proposed a UN-hosted World Summit on Human Fraternity. The goal of these events really is to promote the ideas that they laid out in their joint document that they drafted together, titled Human Fraternity for World Peace and Living Together. It's kind of a disguised call for a new world order, for coming together, a type of interfaithism to help make the new world order possible. The underlying premise of this declaration, Jan, of the Pope and Imam Al-Taib, is that all religions are good and come from God. In their document, when the word believers is used, it's actually a reference to all people who believe in the existence of a God, no matter what their concept of that God might be. So it presents the false notion of universal religious unity, the idea that all religions are pathways to God, which of course is a dangerous lie. The document repeats over and over the term human fraternity, which you could substitute the term global interfaith unity for the term human fraternity, because that's really what it means. All this is going on behind the scenes, and in some circles people are very aware of this. This Pope is held in very high regard by the leaders of the United Nations because of his efforts toward interfaithism, while also endorsing their globalization efforts politically and on the economic and environmental front. I've told people this in the last week. He's involved in all of this up to his eyeballs. He just is. A question that many people ask me is, why has the Pope taken center stage to this degree in the religious community and with the UN? My answer to them is, if you think about it, a system of world government would be virtually impossible to accomplish without the blessing and support of the Pope, which is over the Church of Rome, which represents over 1 billion Catholics worldwide. If he stood up against this emerging New World Order and became a mouthpiece against it and said, I oppose this because our freedoms will be taken away from us, things will become too centralized, it's a dangerous thing, we'll see persecution of Christians and Jews as a result of this move towards socialism. If he did that type of thing, it'd be almost impossible to pull off this New World Order. How can you do so if the leader of the largest religious organization in the world speaks out against it and a high percentage of Catholics chime in with him and take a stand against it? So globalists understand that. They understand that. They knew that they needed to have a pope who would be on their side, and they have that pope in place now, and that's another reason why they are working so feverishly to try to bring this agenda about as quickly as possible, because they have a religious leader in the Vatican who favors their agenda. They also have a lot of Protestant leaders associated with the World Council of Churches that are backing their agenda. They've got even this Muslim leader, Imam al-Taib from Egypt, who has allied himself with the Pope and pushing this agenda. So many of the pieces are now coming together and are in place.
That are involved in this movement, many of them are naively involved. And most of those people, and they number in the millions even here in the United States now, they have come to embrace some of the teachings of pantheism. Hinduism, the core religion underlying Hinduism is pantheism. And if I could give a brief explanation of it, I suppose I'd say this. Pantheism teaches that all living matter, the sum total of all living matter, is God. So therefore, you and I, we are part of God. We are gods ourselves. We're part of this universal God force that encompasses all living matter. They don't believe in the idea of a personal God or creator, but rather this God force that indwells us all. And they believe that if world government is formed, if all the people of the world are unified through this false unity, that this will speed things along and bring in this new age where we will receive a higher level of spiritual, supernatural powers that we could have never dreamed of having before. Some people call this taking the quantum leap into the new age, the next step of human evolution. And so there are millions of people that believe this, and collectively in Western society we refer to this as being the New Age movement. It's really Eastern mysticism, Hinduism, packaged in a way that appeals to the people in Western society. It sounds much more benevolent if you call it the New Age movement than old-fashioned occultism, which really is what it is. So today, even in Christian circles, you've got various New Age occultic ideas that have crept in, and people don't even realize it, because most churches today, most pastors don't teach on this subject to help their flock understand what the occult really is. And so when it creeps in, they're not able to identify it, and they fall for it naively. And so to summarize, again, at the higher level, you have people who are directly involved in Lucifer worship. As you come down through this pyramid, you've got people involved in the pantheistic religions, and down here, people on the fringes have embraced some of these beliefs, but not all of them, but they're moving in that direction of helping to support this and to prop up this coming one world order without even realizing it. You can get books in Christian bookstores now, most Christian bookstores, that oftentimes glorify the occult. They're teaching ideas straight out of Eastern mysticism, but are using Christian terminology, and oftentimes in the name of unity. And that's a huge deception. The Bible's for true unity. Jesus spoke about that in John chapter 17. But there's also a false unity that Scripture warns us of, especially in the last days. And we can't ever make the mistake of being driven to create unity at any price if we have to sacrifice vital truth to do that.
open up the possibility for other religions and the idea that we can somehow work our way into immortality. Those are fatal mistakes, fatal decisions. People that follow those religions, they're going to come to the end of their life and stand before God and realize that they have rejected him and the truth all along and fell for a deception that's determining where they're going to spend their eternity. There's so much at stake in all of this, and we have to be absolutely certain that we come down on the right side of this and read the Bible, know the Bible, understand why Jesus is the only way and why we need to defend that theological and doctrinal fact.